Okay, so my presentation is on factory farming and the question of it being ethical or not. So, if you don't know what factory farming is, it's an efficient way to farm animals, like meat, so you can get produce in things like fast food or just at the store, stuff like that. But in order to be efficient, animals they're put in controversial situations, such as cages that only give a foot or less of movement for their whole entire lives, which could be 2-3 years. A pig can just grow up and in the same 5 feet of space his whole life. And so yeah, there are some things that people don't like about it when animals are forced into those situations. But it's also used to feed millions of people through things like McDonald's and other fast food. Also, people just buy deli products from the store. That's also factory farming. So, the reasons why factory farming sucks. This is one side of the argument. The animals, I'm trying not to put things up here that'll make people sick and stuff like that, because I mean, this picture barely shows you anything, really. It's just a couple of dirty pigs. But the animals in factory farms are treated horribly, like really horribly. Often chickens, they'll peck at things because they're going crazy. And then they just get their beaks sawed off because people don't want their chickens to be breaking their facilities and hurting other chickens. So with chickens, they're put in cages, often 5 at a time in a cage. The cage is about this big. They're all stuffed in there together and they live their whole life like that, and they're stacked up on other cages with other chickens, and the chicken poop just goes on top of the other chickens, and it's just not a good situation for chickens or for any other animal, such as pigs. How I told you earlier, pigs raised in cages as well. They can't move around. They're all mass vaccinated with a machine that comes around and just smacks them with a vaccine thing that just gives them a vaccine, and then supposedly they won't get the disease and they'll live their lives. Also, there's the problem of creating waste. In factory farming, waste from the animals' feces is not disposed of properly, like at all. Oftentimes it's just left there or thrown out on the side of the factory. It's not used for anything productive, like manure when you want to grow food, give nutrients to the dirt. I think that it said in one of the articles that 500 million tons of animal waste is produced each year, and that can release lots of gases and smells into the air that a lot of people don't like. It can also pollute water, so there can be unhealthy drinking water if you don't have a filter. Also, to fatten the animals, they'll often feed with the food that they give the animals. They'll feed them their own feces, and because a lot of animals don't survive the first few months. They'll also feed parts of dead animals to the animals to fatten them up. So there are a lot of bad things about factory farming. Here's a little cartoon. It says, now that I've seen this, I don't think I can ever enjoy popping bubble wrap again. And it's just trying to make people aware that factories aren't for living things, which is why it's kind of unsettling to see an animal as bubble wrap and just killed to create tons and tons of bubble wrap. Why factory farming is ethical. The population is rising. This is true. It's rising quickly, more quickly every day, because there's more people having babies on the earth, and they all need to be fed. So one solution to feed people is to just have thousands and thousands of animals line up and live their life and then kill them, and then people can eat. It's really efficient in the way that it produces a lot of meat. And a lot of people think animals don't have feelings, and so it's okay. As long as we are surviving, then we'll be fine. There's a quote from Leon Vigelm. I'm not sure how to say his name, but he said, as for pigs, reproductive efficiency and growth rates have soared in recent decades. Obvious evidence that their housing and management are of more concern to the critics than the pigs. This is alluding to the fact that they don't really have feelings, and as long as they have food and they can reproduce with other animals, they'll be content. Here's a little video about a solution to the problem. It's better than traditional farming, and it's a lot more ethical than
The
factory
agriculture
farming.
industry has suffered a $1.8 billion.
A relatively unknown approach to ranching that's hugely profitable, efficient, all while regenerating the ecosystem and environment. It's called regenerative ranching. I set off to Bibb County, Alabama to meet him and see his regenerative ranch with my own eyes.
I consider Alan to be the grass-fed guru of our generation right now. I don't know if you'd appreciate that, but that's what I've been thinking of him as.
So the cows are going through another move today, and this is what high-density grazing is all about, multiple moves a day. With regenerative grazing, we mimic what the bison once did by building appropriately sized paddocks each day that allow us to graze hundreds of cattle across each paddock. Once the cattle have eaten some of the grass, trampled some, and fertilized the area, they are immediately moved to the next paddock and then the next. This practice produces profound results that prevent overgrazing and promote tremendous fertility and growth.
Okay, so regenerative farming is a great alternative that still produces lots of food while still being ethical. I think that animals do have feelings, and we should not harm them, and we should treat them with respect. But I also understand that some countries don't have the ability to put a lot of money or a lot of their land into regenerative farming. So
Don't worry, John. You got time for that.
okay, so I think that countries that have money and have abundance should try and make that switch from factory farming to a more reliable source, while also trying to help other countries.
All right, April, we'll skip questions on yours because we're out of time today. Please, everybody.